Oh, another Habs player back on IR, and of course that means more call-ups from Laval. There seems to be a lot of those accumulating on the Montreal Canadiens roster, so let's do some assessing. Seems to be a lot of traffic going back and forth between Montreal and Laval in the past few weeks due to injuries. So today we want to take a look at some of the new arrivals and just kind of give you an assessment of how they have performed in Laval to earn their call-ups and take a look at how they're doing so far with the Montreal Canadiens. We're going to look at a couple of guys who are already up with the Canadiens. We're going to look at a couple of guys who have the potential to be the next round of call-ups from Laval, and we'll throw a wild card in there as well. It's always painful to watch a player delicately leave the ice like Raphael Harvey-Pinard did the other night for the Montreal Canadiens, and it was an occasion where you kind of knew right away from the way he was assisted down the tunnel that this was not going to be something he was going to bounce right back from. And sure enough, HP has been placed on IR. And immediately, even after that game, the Canadiens recalled Joshua Waugh once again from the Laval Rocket. Interestingly enough, Waugh was just about to start playing a game for Laval against the Toronto Marlies. It was a 4:00 start almost as soon as the Canadiens game was done. And they literally plucked him right off the ice before puck drop to say, nope, we need you back in Montreal. If you want to hear how that game went for Laval, despite losing Waugh at the last second, then you should check out this video. Add to the scare factor, we saw Caden Gooley and Jordan Harris both leave the same game. It's not a great game for the Canadiens in terms of injury losses. Now, thankfully, we saw Caden Gooley return to the lineup and play on Tuesday night against Anaheim. I think everyone took a bit of a sigh of relief from that. But the jury is still out on Jordan Harris's status and whether or not another defenseman is going to need to be recalled from Laval in case he is going to be out for any length of time. So let's start with the forwards, the two guys who are already in the lineup for Montreal. And that is, as we just said, Joshua Waugh and Brandon Gignac, who has been with the team for a little over a week after signing his two-way NHL contract. Gignac, of course, didn't make his NHL debut with the Canadiens when he was recalled. He did have already one NHL game on his resume. He got a single game with the New Jersey Devils when he was a member of their organization. But despite not making his NHL debut with the Habs, he did finally notch his first NHL goal with the Montreal Canadiens. It was Caden Gooley who set Brandon Gignac up on Tuesday night against Anaheim. Nice little cross-ice feed and a wide-open net for Brandon Gignac to pot his first NHL goal. So why did Brandon Gignac get this contract? Well, he's been a pretty steady face in the lineup for JF Uhl for the Laval Rocket. This is his third season with Laval, and it's actually been his best season so far with Laval. He's currently, despite the fact that he's not with the Rocket right now, he is currently leading the Laval Rocket in points. He has 14 goals and 28 assists in the AHL this season so far through 43 games played for 42 points, and that puts him 10 points ahead of the other guy who's on recall, Joshua Waugh. So he has solidly taken his place as the points leader. And because of that dependability and the mentorship that he provides, that obviously helped to earn him that NHL two-way contract with the Montreal Canadiens. And I think that we will see him be kind of a good recall option in a pinch when they need someone for the next couple of years. Now, despite that big moment for Gignac on Tuesday night, it's been a bit of a slow start for him in those first couple of games with Montreal. He's been a little bit invisible as he's trying to find his footing in the NHL. He has not been great in the faceoff dot. You'll see if we take a look here at some of his statistics in his 4 games played. Of course, he's got the one goal that he got on Tuesday night. 6 shots in his 4 games played, which is not typical of Brandon Gignac. And he's a 42.9% in the faceoff dot. As I say, it's early Maybe that goal on Tuesday night is what he needed to gain some confidence and be a little more sure of himself in the NHL. But I'd be surprised if we see Brandon Gignac stay with the team through the rest of the regular season. So now, before we talk about some potential defensemen who could come up if needed due to Jordan Harris's injury, let's also first talk about Joshua Waugh. He's had a couple of recalls by Montreal so far this season. And of course, he's considered one of the top young prospects for the Canadiens who are in Laval. As I mentioned a moment ago, he is second in points on the team to Brandon Gignac with 32 points. He's got 13 goals and 19 assists on the season. However, he is also rated at a minus 15 for Laval, which is a little concerning when you look at that statistic. In terms of his NHL play, he's played in 8 games for Montreal so far this season, and he's had a goal and an assist. So 2 points in 8 games played. He's a minus 2. And you'll see that he's got in those 8 games 12 shots on goal. Again, that's not really the kind of play that we see from Joshua Waugh. We're used to seeing him take a lot more shots. Now, of course, he's not getting as much ice time, but he's not getting as many opportunities to get pucks on the net. Now, on the back end, on the blue line, we don't know the status of Jordan Harris. And it's possible, even if Harris is going to be okay to play at some point in the very near future, there may be another occasion to recall another defenseman coming up soon in the regular season. So who could that be? Well, we know that Justin Barron is now back in the AHL after spending a year in the NHL, and he's done actually a pretty good job. He started on the second pairing, and after about a week, he's been promoted to the first pairing and has spent some time with Logan Mailloux. And Justin Barron, once again, kind of finding his rhythm in the AHL again. He has played 8 games in Laval so far. He's got 4 points in those 8 games, a goal and 3 assists. He's doing a pretty solid job in Laval. And just like Arbor Jacki and Logan Mailloux seem to work well together, I've been liking any time that Barron gets to work with Mailloux as well. And I think those 3 are going to be a great combination of defensive players for the Montreal Canadiens in the very short-term future. So it's possible, if Montreal needs to bring up another defenseman, that they could simply recall Justin Barron to see how the last few weeks being down in the AHL has done for him, kind of like what they did with Arbor Jacki. But for me, the big question is when, not if, but when are they going to recall Logan Mailloux just to give him a look? I'm not talking about calling up Logan Mailloux for an extended period of time for the rest of the season, but I do think Logan Mailloux has at least earned a 2, 3, 4 game look in the NHL because of the way that he has played. Believe it or not, Logan Mailloux is ranked 4th among all skaters on the Laval Rocket at this point in the season. 4th. I mentioned already that Brandon Gignac leads the team in points with 42, and that Joshua Waugh is just 10 points behind him in second place in the team's points race. However, it's actually a 3-way tie for second place with those 32 points between Joshua Waugh, Philippe Maillet, and Logan Mailloux. He's played all 45 games for the Laval Rocket this season, and his offensive production has given him 11 goals and 21 assists, and he's got a 0 rating. So Logan Mailloux has come into the AHL, and he has absolutely made his presence known on the offensive side of the puck. He's very good, obviously, scoring 32 points already so far this season. He is physical. He's not afraid to use his size. He's also not afraid to drop the mitts and come to the defense of teammates when needed or to spark something on the bench. He has those aspects of the game. The place that Logan Mailloux, and this has been the case since the beginning of the season, that he really needs to work on is basically his defensive play, his play in his own zone. And hey, don't forget, if you're enjoying content like this, we would really appreciate you tapping the subscribe button and the like button. We've got great content for you each and every week. In fact, if you want to know more about how Logan Mailloux is doing and all of the other prospects who are playing in the AHL for the Montreal Canadiens, well, then you're going to want to be sure to check out the weekly Rocket Hockey Report that I host on the channel every Tuesday. The Laval Rocket are currently in the midst of a 5-game road trip, and they've got some really tough opponents coming up this week. Details on that and a complete analysis and review on how they performed last week, well, you are going to want to check out this video right here, and I'll see you again next time.